about that distraction.
No,
Like to get back.
We're going to go and brag to the other class.
Yeah, no, we could have catch him and then I could have just talked.
John, I think John's the most disappointed because he wanted to really teach, which is not bad. That's good.
And I want to babysit.
Oh.
Yes.
No, I already called dibs on babysitter.
What?
I
Yeah, but we're better.
babysitter,
So
I
we're
would
gonna
trust
do
her.
Not John?
That's not how it works.
Yeah, I had to babysit. I had to babysit like
I
three
babysit
kids.
my little brother all the time.
I babysat 5
I have
kids
lots
a
of
week.
experience.
So
Wow.
I can handle anything.
I can
Nice.
babysit Nick all the time.
All right, listen carefully here. Here I have a rational equation. How do I know it's an equation? It has an equal sign. But this is pulling back, and what was cool is I was telling the other class that we're talking in 7th grade about proportions. Does anyone remember what a proportion is? It's when two ratios are relate in a special way. They actually equal one another. So is this a ratio? Is that a ratio?
Yes.
Do they equal one another?
Yes.
Okay, if it's a proportion, which is good, you can solve any proportion by cross multiplying. Do you guys remember that cross multiplying?
I was just like our other lesson.
Well, it gets a little bit tougher because it's going to add in what we looked at the last 2 lessons. All right, so this is what I'm writing. 12 times x minus 3. I'm just showing my work here so you know what I'm doing. So 12 times x minus 3, remember that's a binomial, keep it together, is equal to x times 8, which is 8x. So that's all I did. And then I can distribute here because I want to solve for x. By the way, when you're solving equations, you're trying to find what's the value of a variable. So I want to find out what's that x. So what's this distribution going to give me?
12x minus 36.
Yeah, 12x minus 36 equals 8x. Okay, now you solve for x. And I want to see how you guys do. I'm going to let you guys do it on your own, and then I'll do it one way. There are many ways to work this out. So go ahead, get x. And I might do it a different way than you do, but hopefully we're all going to get the same answer. That's the whole goal. Yeah, really, guys, this is getting to the point where I teach you one way, maybe show you another way, but there are other ways to do it, and you can do it in those other ways as long as you're following those properties. And that's kind of encouraging because I don't have to show you all the ways. You already understand them.
I'm still confused with how this relates anything to our last lesson.
Yes, that's a great question. This problem, not per se, but you'll see when we get to like, are you looking at example number 1 on page 321? That right there is going to relate directly to our last lesson. Okay, how many of you subtracted 12x from both sides? Anyone subtracted 12x from both sides? How many of you subtracted 8x from both sides? 8x from, okay, I'm going to do 12x from both sides. Either way, so you should have been left with negative 36 equals negative 4x. And then you divide both sides by negative 4. And you get 9 equals x. Is that what you guys got? 9 equals x. X equals 9. Now, listen to me carefully. Yes, ma'am? Did you get x equals 9? Yeah. Again,
Will it always work?
if you're using the properties, like you're doing the same thing to both sides, you're distributing or factoring, it should always work. Yeah, but I don't have time to go through all of them, but good. I'm glad you did it a different way and still got it. Can my answer be 9? That's the question I'm going to ask. This goes back to excluded values. Do you know what the excluded values are for this problem? Remember, always look at the original problem. What can x not be?
3 or 0.
X could not have been 3. X could not have been 0. Is x 3 or 0? So I'm okay. Do you understand that that's okay? If I work this problem out, and let's say I got 3, I worked it out well, and I got 3, it's still not an answer because what can x not be? 3. So you would actually put no solution because you cannot have 3 as an answer. And if that's all you get working it out, this would not have had a solution, which is possible. By the way, if I told you to make up a problem, like just make up a problem, you could just start writing blah, blah, blah equals blah, 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 blah. Do you understand that your problem may have been written so poorly, not so poorly, so off, because maybe you planned it, that you would not get a solution. You can't get a solution with what you said, but some of you would be able to get it based on how you wrote it. So in this case, it has a solution, and it's 9. Okay. Let me give you another one here. A minus 2. So I still haven't gotten to the last 2 lessons, but this is like far back. A minus 2 over A equals 3/4. All right. Is this a proportion? Yes, it's just 2. Okay, here's Naomi. Pause. Oh, my little girl. My little girl. I'll have her. Can I have her on YouTube? Or? Yeah, here it goes. This is little Naomi. Hi.
Wait, how old is she now?
It's 10 weeks? Almost 10 weeks. So a little over 2 or 2.5 months. Naomi. She loves math. She kind of likes daddy. Yeah, she's really likes kids. Yeah, she's when you get her to crack a smile, it's like, oh, that's cool because yeah. Ezra is not. He is not capable of being. Is he doing okay?
Yeah, he seems fine. Yeah.
Yeah, Ezra's sick.
What does her shirt say?
Smart, bright, cute.
Yeah, no, Ezra's sick. He just threw up. So you don't want him in. Thank you.
Currently not wearing any clothes. Poor guy.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Say bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone. Give a smile.
She's looking at me. She's like, I don't like her.
I don't know.
She's ready for a nap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Kitty.
Bye.
She's looking at me.
Thank you, Mrs. A, for bringing in our children. All right. Yeah, what was cool was that when we were first married, we taught together in the same school for 4 years. So like you guys would in the school, she would have taught English and history, and I would have taught math. And so, hey, Mr. A, hey, Mrs. A, and I would talk about her in class because you guys would know her. But now that we've had kids, she's staying with them because they are, as you could tell, a little bit of a handful with the 2 boys, especially when they meet together. It reminds me of my brother and I, by the way. All we wanted to do, all you had to do is put them together and they start getting at it. But anyway.
It's like crawfish.
Crawfish. I can see that sometimes. All right. Do we have a proportion up here? Yes. So can we cross multiply? Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 4 times a minus 2. 4 times a minus 2. Yes, and you can go ahead and distribute that. 3 times a is 3a. So then you get 4a minus 8 equals 3a. Then solve for a. And again, you could do this your way. Try to do it a different way. If you subtracted 4a like you did the last time, or if you want to do that, maybe subtract 3a from both sides, which is what I'm going to do. I get a minus 8 equals, what's 3a minus 3a? 0. Uh-oh, what do I do to this? Add 8 to both sides, and I get a equals 8. So you could have done it differently, but a equals 8. Is a allowed to be 8?
Yeah.
What can a not be? 0. It cannot be 0. That's it. That's the only excluded value, and so that works.
When you're trying to find the excluded value, what part do you look at?
Always the denominators of the original expressions. So like here you have 2 fractions, so you look at both of them. This one, there's no excluded value, and this one, the only one is a cannot be 0.
So this one was like a minus 2 over x, x minus 8, and like.
Then you would say.
Minus 8, and we got that answer.
You would say no solution because that's not true.
When does that ever happen? Like, is there like a formula that happens when it?
I don't think there's a formula, but there is a time when that happens. All right, let's do example number 1. which is on the top of page 321. Wow, we're that far. And make sure I write it down. I think on the last class I wrote the wrong problem. We still worked it out well, but I do want to work out the problem that they have here. And here's a tie-in to your last lesson. Really, your last 2 lessons. Okay. Is this a proportion?
Yeah.
That was an equation.
Okay, it's an equation, good. It's not a proportion because I don't have just one ratio equaling one ratio. This is a ratio, right? 3/1. But this is actually 2 fractions that still need to be added together. What can I do with those 2 fractions? Add them together. Why don't you add them together? Can you add these 2 fractions like they are? Because they have common or like denominators. So what's 2x plus 4x minus 6? 6x minus 6 over, see, this makes sense. Okay, over x minus 1. And that still equals, I'm going to put 3/1. That's allowed because now I have a proportion. Time out. Before you work this problem out, if you want to make your life easier, you can simplify fractions before you cross multiply. Or you could just cross multiply. So just go ahead and cross multiply then. It looks like it's what you're asking. Go ahead. And I'm going to simplify something and then we'll see what we get. So I'm going to factor the numerator and denominator of this first one. Oh wow, that's not it.
You did it, mister.
So I'm doing it a little bit differently to show you that there are multiple ways to do it. So all I did was I factored the numerator. When I factored the numerator, guess what happens with the numerator and denominator? They have a common factor.
When you have an exclusion, I thought you get 6. 18, yay.
Say that again?
I thought you just said 6/1.
Oh yeah, 6/1, right? Okay, you're going to be left with 6/1 equals 3/1. That's not true, is it? So what kind of solution do I get? No solution. Okay, you're like,
The normal way?
the normal way, guess what happens?
No, I know what happens.
Yes, what happens?
Because you plug it in and it's a 0 on the bottom. It's also excluded value.
Okay, so did you guys do this?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'll subtract 3x. You can do it this way.
I was doing that, and then you just
-6 equals -3, right? Or sorry, wow.
Negative
3x minus 6 equals -3. All right, so how do you solve for x? Add 6 to both sides. You get 3x equals 3. And then you divide both sides by 3. And you get a nice answer, x equals 1. Great! Except one big problem.
1 is excluded value. Excluded.
Yeah, am I allowed to get 1 for x? No. This can't be the answer, so what do I put? No solution.
No solution. Our 2 answers are x equals blah and x does not equal
Say it again?
blah. If we don't get no solution, our answers are x equals something or x does not equal something and x.
No. All your answer is what x equals. So if you didn't have this excluded value, you could just say x equals 1. That's it. No, you don't have to. But you need to look at them to see if your answer is part of that grouping.
I don't understand how you got
The
the 3
3 over what?
over.
Oh, yeah. Right here. Did you get this part? I add 6 to both sides. So I get 3x equals 3. All right. Go ahead and do number 3. Oh, time out. I'm not going to give that one yet. Not yet. Let me give you this one. It's pretty rough.
We're pretty rough. Mr. A, with your help, we can do it.
Let's do this one. 3x over 5 plus 3 over 2 equals 7x over 10. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. All right, listen carefully. Is this a proportion? No. It is 2 fractions added together equaling another fraction. That's not a proportion. But can I combine these 2 together?
No, you have to get
Common denominators, which is what? The common denominator is 10. Good. I want to change both of them to have that common denominator. So what do I multiply that first fraction by?
72.
2 over 2. So can somebody tell me what you get when you multiply 2 over 2? 6x over 10. Very nice. All right, guys. What do you multiply the second fraction by? 5 over 5, which gets you what? Awesome. 15 over 10. And then I can combine them. So I'm going to get my 6x plus 15 over the common denominator 10. Very nice. All right, I just added those two together, so what do I have to do now? Set up the proportion. Oh, look at that. All right, so I got 6x plus 15 over 10 equals what, though? Good, 7x over 10. Very nice. Okay, just go. Do it. Do what you need to do. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of, should I say it, should I not? I'm just letting you do it. Work that out. I can see why these are fun to play with. Titus, it's kind of cool with my 3 different kids and with the boys because they're doing stuff. Naomi's kind of just mad all the time. Is that Titus really likes to put things together. Like he likes putting the little trailer on the truck and then taking it out and then putting it back on. So he likes doing that. Ezra doesn't do that.
And he was doing that with the markers.
Yeah, he puts the cap on, takes it off, and it's just like, and put it in his mouth.
Michael's nephew has this thing that's like, has the colors on one side and like triangles on the other. It's super fun to pop in and out. It's like, has that satisfying sound.
Of course it is.
I gotta know what you're talking about. Okay.
Real fun. Homework. We're ready, Mr. A.
All right, who solved?
Taught us well, my teacher.
Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. Tell me what the answer is.
15.
Say that again.
15 equals
All right, x equals 15 or 15 guys.
Yay.
Is that allowed?
Correct. Yes.
What are the excluded values?
Nothing.
There are none. Denominator. There's no variable. Always the original.
Go.
Homework is, oh guys, it gets tough, but I'll work them out as we have time. Yeah, there you go. Good attitude. 2 through 12 even, and it's page 317. Same thing. All right, listen carefully. I'm giving you time to work on it, and I'll also work out the problems with you as we go, as we have time. Yeah, oh, wow, we have a lot of time. Okay, so I'll do as many as I can. I think like 12 minutes or 14 minutes, sorry. So I got 9 over 4t. 9 over 4t equals, for number 2, 3 over t minus 2, I believe. Yeah. Okay, if it's a proportion, what do you do? Cross multiply. If it's not a proportion, you can make it into proportion by adding or subtracting the fractions that might be on one side or another. Okay, so for the last class, the reason it took us a little longer, there is another way to work these problems out. I do like it, especially for more complicated problems, but for this problem right here, cross products is very easy.
You don't think we were ready with that?
Sorry? Is that a question? Did you want me to answer that? No, honestly, the way the other class responded, I think I'll leave it alone. Yeah, I'm not going to go, well, I mean, I could go over it, but...
Don't do that. Don't do it.
Wait, so if in the original problem they don't have common denominators and there's no excluded value?
No. That's when you're adding or subtracting. Hold on. Okay, Marissa, is this a proportion?
Yes.
So you could go ahead and cross multiply. If you're thinking of excluded values, just look at denominators. So what's the excluded value here? T cannot equal 0. Because what happens if t equals 0?
Divide by
divide by 4. What can t not be here? Yep, so you have two excluded values, 0 and positive 2. If you work this all out and you get one of those, it's no solution.
Very badness. No goodie.
All right, that's what I get when I cross multiply. And then you simplify as you prefer in this problem.
Go, 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 go.
And then you divide both sides by 3. And you get negative 6 equals t. Or t equals negative 6. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not excluded, so you can include it in your answer.
When you have like the number 4,
Oh, uh-huh.
it has like 2 magnets and then you have to like reduce it before you cross it.
You can reduce it. If you don't reduce them, you still work it out, but the numbers just got bigger. But yeah, you can reduce. I would reduce.
Do we cross multiply first?
I would reduce. Do you want to reduce? Reduce first, then cross multiply. If you don't want to reduce, yeah, you have to factor the numerator and denominator. Can the numerator be factored? No. Can the denominator be factored?
And I got
Yes.
negative a plus 8.
And then I subtract
I'm negative 8
the
plus
40
8.
and got
It means it's 0. You can't have 0.
16.
Because if the excluded value is your answer, then it's not.
I feel like we go
It's that easy, huh?
Well, I feel like
Oh wait,
I
you
just
did this
don't
one, Miss
have
Ray.
it. I don't know how to do it. Or maybe we have them.
Oh, we're doing 4 right now.
3x plus, yeah, it's right here.
Okay, listen carefully. On number 4, you have options. You can always simplify fractions before you cross multiply, or you could just start cross multiplying. How many of you simplified first?
I don't know.
If you did, it's okay. But here's what's going to happen with your answer. It's going to come quickly. All right, factor the numerator, which is just a plus 4. Factor the denominator, which is 2 times a plus 4. Uh-oh, what do I notice? Ah, boom and boom. A plus 4's cancel. I am left with 1/2 equals 3/10. Huh? Is that true? 1/2 equals 3/10? No. Guess what my answer is? Yeah, no solution. How many of you got no solution without doing that?
Because I don't know how to simplify.
So you just did your cross multiplying, right?
Yeah, I like cross multiplying.
Mr. A.
It's an excluded value. Very nice.
I did something really good.
Oh, yeah.
I did like
Yeah, and you got,
4.
and it should be negative 16, so negative 4. But, okay, here's what happens. You know how I factored this out? What can A not be?
Oh my goodness.
Negative 4. So you get no solution.
Is there a way you can get squared, Mr. A?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
You can get squared values and then solve that. What number?
number
10.
Ooh.
6.
Let me work out number 10 if you need to skip, because, yeah, that one's a little tough.
I'm really confused.
Yeah, you guys can do 6 and 8 for your homework, but if you want to skip down to number 10, because that one's a little bit different.
0 equals 5.
Is that true?
No.
But I'm not saying that's the answer. Just
I
you
don't
would.
think it is.
Okay.
Because I just got this weird thing. I didn't know.
Do you know how to simplify it? It's just like simplifying a fraction, so divide 5 goes into
Cross multiply.
Does anything cancel out? Like, can you simplify that or simplify that? No, nothing simplifies. So you go straight to cross multiplication. Ready? I got s times s minus 6 equals s minus 5 times s plus 4. This is complicated. That's why I'm going through it with you. And sorry, 8B, we didn't go over this problem. We did go over an example of this, but I didn't go over number 10 with them. Okay, so what do you get here?
S squared minus 6.
There minus 6s. Sorry, the s is in the 5s. I know. I'll make my s's small. Let me, you can verify that. You can check it, Jensen. If you put it in there, if it works, it's good.
We have to do FOIL?
Yeah, you have to do FOIL right here. Remember, two binomials multiply together get me FOILed. A FOILed product. You do actually, because then you can you're going to see something cancels out. S squared plus 4s minus 5s minus 20. Remember FOIL? First, outer, inner, last.
So now do you have to factor that thing?
Hold on, because here's where it's going to be nice, where you don't have to factor it. I'm just rewriting it, and I'm going to combine like terms. Minus 1s, if you want to call it that. Okay, ready? I don't like those s squared terms. Do you? No. Do you notice that you have an x squared here and an s squared there? How do you take them out?
Divide.
Not divide.
No, you just subtract.
If I subtract s squared from both sides, guess what happens to the s squared? It's bye-bye. Then you just solve that equation that's left. Negative 6s equals negative 1s minus 20. And then you get something. Did it check? Or how about this? Did you check? Okay, so work it out. What'd you get? Awesome, I'll give you some time. Okay, and then solve for s, divide both sides by 5. What'd you get?
Wait, is that negative 4?
I think I got positive 4.
Yeah, because
Yeah, because
I
you
did that
divide,
the first time.
it's negative divided by.
So Murphy, right here, did you add 1s?
I didn't have negative 5 at first, so I messed up that.
Okay, so negative 5s equals negative 20. Divide both sides by negative 5. You get s equals 4. Now, can s equal 4?
Yes. Yeah.
What can s not have been? 6 or 5?
Or
And
negative, it could have been negative 4.
it could, are you looking up here?
Yeah.
Remember, only the denominators. So you can have anything up there. You can have 0 even up in the numerator. All right, do the rest of them. I'm
I
done.
have a question.
Goodbye, Swivel. Bye, Naomi, and bye, Titus.